When it comes to training, what are the biggest mistakes you see people making?
Well, I suppose the biggest mistake I see people making is not training the dog early enough. We would have people maybe coming in here with a 6 month old dog and saying to me, is it too late? Is it too early to train my dog? And I would go, well, it's probably too late to do a certain amount of things with your dog. Any of the dogs that we have had in here from, we'll say, 8 or 10 weeks old, we haven't had any issues with them at all. They've not been a problem. Somebody arrives with a dog that's a year old that they're having major problems with, it can be very hard and it can be a lot of work, blood, sweat, and tears that go into getting that dog back to a manageable state. I would say the biggest mistake I see people making is not to start training their dog early. And the other one, I suppose, the next one would be just what I said, would be reacting in a negative way to the dog or trying to correct the dog or discipline the dog for rather than reacting in a positive way to the from what you want from the dog. So we have dogs here that are fairly robust and tough animals, and they will actually do things that we perceive as bold, like chewing or barking or even peeing on your floor just to get your attention, just to have that interaction with you. They love an interaction with you. I mean, that's what drives them, that's what fuels them, that's what they live for. They love an interaction. So we will have a dog that will do something negative just to get your reaction. So those would be the biggest negative, would be the biggest problems I see with people, mistakes that people make with dogs.
Yeah, and sometimes I know one thing I've been guilty of is forcing negative behavior with the best of intentions. So, like that, my dog used to jump up on people whenever we were walking, and I really didn't like it. I used to get really agitated about it. It made me very anxious about walking with the dog. It was after a couple of weeks that I realized that I was the one causing it. So basically, what it was is if we were out walking together and I saw someone coming, I would stop. I would put my hand on the dog. I would pet her and soothe her and tell her to be quiet, be good. And then invariably, the person would come along and she would jump on them. I was priming her every single time without realizing it. Then, as soon as I realized it, whenever we'd go out walking, as soon as we'd come along, I'd just keep on walking. And then my dog was happy enough to come along with me, and it was all, she stopped jumping on people right away. So that would be something that I think was in we create sometimes the bad behavior with the best of intentions.
Yeah, the jumping behavior, that's normally something that the dog learns very early, because what happens is the dog will jump on somebody, a puppy will jump on somebody when they're 8 weeks old just to get up closer to their face. And instinctively, the person who they jump on will pet the dog. The same thing, pulling on the lead is another one that starts off very, very early. They put a lead on the puppy moves away, and instead of loosening the lead and moving around with the puppy till he becomes accustomed to the lead, everybody pulls the lead in the opposite direction, which causes an opposite reflex with the pup, which causes them to pull on the lead. So, I mean, those would be two things that initially people will do with very young puppies, and both of them um, can still be there when the dog is 15 years old. Your dog can be 15 years old and still jumping on people and pulling on the lead, and they've learned them when they've only been maybe 8 weeks old.